What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome to a Dungeon Defenders 2 Beginner's Guide and Tutorial series. This series will be in really no specific order, as new topics will come up, but I will try to get it organized after release into a much more complete and timely playlist. As changes take place between now and release, I will do my best to update this series and make sure that the playlist is always current. This series will be played on the PC, however most of these topics will very easily transfer over to the PS4 with just a few different controls. If there's anything at all that you'd like more information on, or something that you struggled with as a beginner, let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to make it a topic in this series. Without further ado, let's get started. So we're back in the tavern, and we took a nice little tour through the tavern, and then a nice little tour through the Heroes Marketplace. We've also looked at our hero deck and equipped a few pieces of loot, but now it's time to actually look at those pieces of gear and see what all that means. Basically, each piece of gear is going to have two main stats on it. Like this piece, the two main stats would be defense power and defense health. Now, all of the armor pieces of gear are going to have a third stat up above, which is going to be some kind of resistance. It could be physical resistance, or it could be magic resistance. The main thing we're going to be looking at is our two different stats. Now, if we hit our character tab and then go over to stats, we're going to see all of the possible stats listed. Everything in this left column is going to be your defensive stats, which are going to affect the towers that you build. Everything in the right are going to be your hero stats, which are going to affect the damage that you put out yourself. Now, depending on what type of hero you want to play with, depends on what stats, of course, you need on that hero. If we look back at our hero deck, a likely choice for me to play through the campaign is going to be to use the Squire for walls, the Apprentice for some offensive towers. I'm going to use the Huntress to DPS personally and get out there and shoot stuff in the face. And then I'll use the Monk for some support defenses. Now, based off of this, let's take a look at our Apprentice. Now, our Apprentice is only going to be doing damage-dealing towers. So if we look over at the possible stat choices, the two most important stats we're going to want to get are going to be defense power and defense crit. You currently can't find a direct stat defense range or defense speed on any pieces of gear. Now, there are some passives that affect both of these things, which we'll get into later, but you will get two of these three core stats: defense power, defense health, and defense crit. Now, starting at the top, defense health, of course, is going to make our towers have more health. Defense health is a stat, for example, that I'll be using on my Squire, since my Squire is going to set down all the walls. Defense power is going to be the amount of straight, non-critical damage your defenses are going to do. This is going to be a fixed number, and that tower will hit for that same amount every single time. Now, if we look all the way up here, we've got defense crit chance. Now, defense crit chance can come as a passive, yet that is not a stat that you can directly increase with points. We will gain some points as we level up, but you see currently we have 0 points, so nothing we can put in yet. So my priorities for my Apprentice, since he's going to be doing damage-dealing towers, are going to be defense power and defense crit. I currently have a 5% chance of critting, which is really, really low. The maximum cap currently for defenses is 30%. However, I'm still going to want defense crit on as many pieces as I can, just to supplement that damage, that defense power damage that I'm doing. Now, if we take a look at that Squire again, now we're going to be laying down those Squire walls, so we know we're going to want some defense health. As a secondary, I'm going to go with defense power, as that's going to allow me a little bit of versatility where I don't just have to use walls, particularly in the campaign. I can use some cannons, I can use some harpoons, I can use anything else I want, and that defense power is going to give it a benefit. Now, switching on over to my Huntress is going to be a damage dealer. If we look over into the hero damage stats, at the very top, of course, we have our two resists, physical resist and magic resist. this is our hero crit chance, which our hero crit chance is currently 3%, which of course is rock bottom. Doesn't get any lower. Now our hero health, of course, is going to directly increase our health pool. Our hero damage is going to directly increase our non-critical damage. Ability power is going to increase the damage of our abilities. And hero crit damage is going to increase the crit damage that occurs that 3% of the time in my current setup. Now, almost all characters are going to benefit, particularly on your first playthrough. Any DPS character that you choose is going to directly scale off of hero damage. So hero damage is our number one, our DPS character. That's what I'm really looking for. Now, if you like to spam abilities, then of course you're going to want your ability power up to make those abilities hit a little bit harder as well. And then if you want to get up in the baddies' faces, do a little tanking, and you're not afraid to get hit, you might want to invest in a little hero health to help increase that health pool. But basically, going through the rest of the campaign, I'm going to want to follow that same particular strategy. So my Apprentice is going to be doing damage dealing towers. My Squire is going to be laying down walls with some occasional cannon usage, maybe even a harp or two. My Huntress is going to be doing mad DPS and shooting homies right in the face with that bow. And then the Monk is going to be using some support towers to make these other towers stronger. I'm going to stick with that all the way through. The character that I have actively out and around is going to get the majority of the loot. However, loot will drop for all characters in your hero deck. Just like all characters will get leveled off the same experience pool, all characters have the chance of having loot drops for them, even if they're not out and played actively. So that'll do it for today. We'll see ya. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, click that like button and mash this big J over here to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.